Hey guys, so today's presentation is how to use OpenAI to build a resume and supercharge your job search. Um, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the topic because I feel very strongly. I don't want to leave you with the impression that with OpenAI or with AI in general, it will magically transform ourselves and greatly improve the chances. That's not true because using AI can improve the things we're doing, including resume and interview script. But still, we need to learn the skills. We need to acquire the experience. Using AI, we can improve our chances and deliver the peak performance. So I'm going to touch upon OpenAI a little after, but I will always start with the job market. So I'm going to Indeed. I use the same search criteria, as you can see. It's a little complicated. Basically, this is how you read it. I create this Boolean search so it will return any job that includes the keyword data. And then one of these keywords, it's a long list, from here to here. But as you can see, all these keywords or key phrases are separated by all, right? So it's one of these. You can also see key phrases I put within quote, meaning, this will treat it as just one phrase. So that means if the posting has the keyword data and one of these, it will come back. There's one more thing I want to show you. So I configured this search to be within the last 24 hours. So that means every day I click this search, it's going to return different jobs. It will return only jobs that got posted in the last 24 hours. So fresh, new postings. I also put within 25 kilometers of Toronto. So this is basically GTA. This search returns 97 jobs today. I want to tell you, 2 years ago, I used the same search. In general, I get 400 to 600 jobs a day, 400 to 6 jobs a day. And this is not even 100 jobs. So that is telling you, and it is telling me, the market is getting tougher. There is more competition, there are less jobs, more people looking for jobs. So if one of you, want to get a data job, I think we'll need to do something different. It's insane if we do the things that everybody is doing and expect miracle to happen. So this is tough. And knowing this is important, but on the other hand, each one of us, we need only one job, right? It doesn't matter if the economy is going up or down. All we need is one job. So let's just go through some of these jobs very quickly to see what's available on the market. I'm going to, skip the names that we're not that familiar with. So this is a manager position with Enbridge. So this is energy. Again, same company, just different role, different function, reporting analytics and pricing, competitive intelligence, probably study the competition. CIBC Bank, business consultant, direct marketing. So it's in a marketing department. And I'm not quite familiar with this university, so I'm going to skip it. Staple. So this is a retail manager, digital analytics. Air Canada, this is a product owner through operations data product. Sun Life Insurance, senior digital analytics consultant. By the way, if you look at the salary, it's actually not bad, right? 76 to 125. And I'm not quite familiar with this. Procom is a agency, so I'm going to skip it too. Hyundai is car manufacturer, or maybe it's the dealership here in Canada, competitive intelligence and pricing specialist. Okay, this is the agency that I know. So only 5 pages. I'm going through one more page. Four Seasons, this is hotel. So data quality analyst. Four Seasons again. Data assets analyst. Air Canada again. Hyundai again. PwC, so this is consulting. Risk assurance data. Jam City, I know this company. My son actually worked at Jam City. So data analyst. This is healthcare. Four Seasons again. Agency. It doesn't look that bright, if you look at the market. OMERS, this is pension. Business analyst, private markets. CIBC again. This is senior role, senior manager, digital analytics. BMO, bank again, data access management. So this is university education, website, and database assistant. Sunnybrook, so this is healthcare, hospital. Medical laboratory assistant, pre-analytics. Google, so everybody knows Google. Technical sales specialist, database management, Google Cloud. Staples again, Toyota dealership. So I think you get the idea. I just want to show you what the market looks like, and what we should do to cope with, the challenges. With that, just before the session, I showed you this little video. I'm going to show you our approach. So we usually, get students to do projects so they can acquire project experience. This is a very simple project. In fact, this project doesn't look that simple. It is the material that Microsoft use for corporate training. And if you Google Microsoft dashboard in a day, you will find this project. Dashboard in a day means it's a full day program. And I know the training partners of Microsoft actually spent 6 hours, and 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon to complete this project. But the video you saw was only 25 minutes long. And obviously it goes pretty quick and very smooth. But our students, with the right material, they can complete the project in 3 hours. So students can finish the project in half the time. I'm going to use this project to show you what you can do to improve your resume. So for instance, in this case, after you finish the project, you will probably add the following experience to your resume after this project. So over here, this is the name of the company from Asdell, and you work as a revenue analyst. And the tools you use includes Power BI, DAX, DAX, this data data analysis expression. And we also use tabular editor. And let's go through this real quick because you have gone through the project and I think you're familiar with what we have achieved, even by watching, right? So the first bullet, we actually built a data flow to extract, transform, and node. So this is the ETL process. So we collect data from various sources in various formats with various data issues. Different data sources, including the representative offices in 7 countries, including USA. And also you receive the data dictionary probably from the technical team, and you receive some of the reference data from the business team. So different sources of data in various formats. If you recall, we had data in CSV format and Excel. The data is actually not small. So I wouldn't say this is big data, but it's significant amount of data. So you should mention that. So you could put ingested data in 10 tables and 8 million rows. And then you did identify some data issues, identify and fix various data issues, including, I think you remember what we did to clean up the data. So all kinds of problems and data issues, including unstructured data. If you recall, one of the table was the orientation was wrong, meaning we have to rotate the table 90 degrees. We have to transpose the data, turning columns to rows and rows to columns. So we did that. A lot of missing values, and also some formatting errors. And there was one time, 2 columns were combined into 1 column. We have to separate them. We did all that, right? Clean up the data. And then we built a dimensional data model, meaning, the tables are basically dimension tables and fact table. And then we were able to connect dimension table to fact table using primary and foreign keys. So we create this dimensional data model to analyze the sales performance. If you recall, we created 4 KPIs, the revenue this year, revenue previous year, and revenue change year over year, right? And we compare the performance between Van Asdale versus its top competitors. So we mentioned that, along different dimensions. So we mentioned by product, by country, and by year. We put within bracket. So you can easily see 3 dimensions. One is what, and the second is where, and the third is when. 3 dimension, right? And the last one, I think everybody understands. So we mentioned the teamwork and the cross-functional collaboration. Collaborated with product and marketing teams to develop growth strategy to build, maintain, and protect Van Asdale market share in 2022 and beyond, right? So what do you think? So after you finish a project, don't just finish a project and then think it's done. And what's important is you should be able to convert that project into the bullet points you can put on the resume, or even stories that you can use to tell the hiring manager and convince the employer to give you that opportunity. And that's the one and only purpose that you do this project, okay? So real quick, if you see this, I think you would feel very motivated, because after this project, you're going to, have this one writing block, and you put it on the resume and you feel good about it. you have no fear. Usually when people put stuff on the resume that they don't really understand and they feel scared. They fear that the hiring manager will ask questions about that part of the experience, and they don't know what to say, and you can't defend it, right? But this is a complete different story. So if you have done the work, if you have completed the project, you feel very, very comfortable with every single bullet. And in fact, you look forward to the questions, and you want the employer to ask you questions about this because you have practiced over and over, and you know you will do a good job, if they ask you something you're familiar with, right? So this is what I meant by role-based training. So in this example, we simulate the work environment, we simulate the role, you pretend you work as a revenue analyst for Asda, and you answer questions, solve problems. So this is the background. If you recall, this is the data and the instruction for you to complete the project, and this is the data flow. And then you start to create the date table, and then create multiple measures, and then create the hierarchies and group. And this is the model view, right? If you remember. And then you understand this data a lot better. And after this, you start, building the visuals. As you can tell, we spend the majority of the time, most of the time, cleaning up data and building the data model and create the KPI. So only if you spent the time and you did a good job, creating the data model and KPI, and that will make your life a lot easier if you want to build any visualization. So this one page, actually 2 pages, you spend in visualization and telling the visual story. So this is the final product. In fact, we have more questions, and you can use that to show what you can do additionally, right? So this is just one example to show you, what you can do to really improve your resume and the chances of getting an interview. Any questions so far? So feel free to raise questions using chat. So I'm going to answer your question as we move forward. So let's go to, in fact, I have just one example. I can show you this notebook. It's not resume. Actually, this is for interview, I believe. And it's a real case. So this is a Jupyter notebook. I'm not going to run this in Jupyter notebook again, but I can show you the notebook. So it's we use OpenAI and the prompt engineering, and there are several principles and tactics. The first one is write clear and specific instruction, and the second principle is give model time to think. I think for this case, we use at least 3 tactics. First, use delimiters to indicate the distinct parts of the input. So to be clear. Okay, so let me look at a question. It pertains to non-tech positions such as senior creative project manager. I'm seeing that sometimes the name of the roles are not quite as such. It can be marketing manager or program manager. So you think that search method of looking into the tools and keywords can yield results in the job search. Okay, this is a good question. First of all, I think you would agree with me, we shouldn't just type one keyword like data analyst and depend on it to get us the right opportunities. So we definitely need to do more than that to compose a more advanced search. So to answer your question, if you want a data row, I think it's better to leave the keyword data in that. And then the titles, different companies use very different titles. So if you use just the title to search for the opportunities, you will miss a lot of good opportunities. So that's the reason why it's better to put in some business keywords and key phrases. And it's important to put some technical keywords and key phrases, and sometimes even special terms for special system or application that you are the expert or you feel familiar with. So that way we can narrow down the search, but we can also be inclusive of the opportunities that we want to return, right? So for your specific question, the senior creative project manager, the way I understand this, creative, for instance, marketers, the business team in the marketing department, I think they are responsible for the creative. So if we will launch a marketing campaign, the business team will write the creative, the messages. Project manager is a different one, right? So it is in the context of a project. And project manager usually is responsible for, chasing the dependencies and eliminating the waste and get the resources and make sure there's no work waiting for people or people waiting for work. So that's a very different role. You also mentioned marketing manager and program manager. So marketing manager is a functional manager, and project manager is not a functional manager. So in a metrics environment, if you think about vertical and horizontal, project manager is the owner of the horizontal process. And the functional manager, such as marketing manager, is vertical. So it's in the marketing department, right? And marketing manager can provide the resources. A program manager, once again, it's a very vague term. Program, can be a senior level in project management. And so if that is the case, it's also horizontal, okay? So I think that's a long answer to your question. We just need to do it through trial and error, so we know that we don't miss out the good opportunities. Okay. All right. Indeed, there can be many deliverables. Yeah. I get a private message, direct messaging resume for project. If I explain the insight that I observe in the data, and then it would be great, right? And the hiring team will think I understood the data like that. On the other hand, if I follow your method, then I'm explaining the steps I'm doing, but not discussing the result. Great comments. Manning, that's a good comment. So, in my opinion, we should be very strategic in terms of what to put out there. So for every project, even for every job, if you plan to write 3 or 4 bullets, these 3 or 4 bullets are like soldiers and they're fighting for your chances, right? So I think, first of all, you need to write the 3 to 4 bullets for both technical and non-technical audience. And the most important audience is your hiring manager, but also the HR team will look at your resume first, and oftentimes they're doing the screening. So in this case, I suggest you use one bullet to write about the process. So in this case, you will talk about ETL, you will talk about the EDA, exploratory data analysis, you will talk about data modeling, you will talk about visualization. So people are under the impression that you have gone through the whole process end to end, right? So that's the first bullet. And the second and the third bullet, you should write about the challenges and how you overcome the challenges. So for instance, this project is not a toy project. It's not a huge project, but it's not a toy project. It's not a simple assignment either, right? So you need to impress people with some facts and numbers. So if you recall, I use 8 million rows, right? And 10 tables, just to give people the impression that this project is not small, okay? And I also mentioned data issues and, how we overcome the data issues. So use 2 bullets to talk about the size of the project, the complexity of the project, and the challenges of the project and how you overcome the challenges. The last bullet, you can use it to talk about results. So in this case, you present the findings and the recommendations, and you collaborate with product and marketing team to design the strategy, to find the product and market fit, so we can grow the sales, right? So I hope I answer your question. Good. SA, how is the job market in USA for data roles? I have had some experience and through the students. At WeCloudData, we have 30% of the students from the US and 70% from Canada. So US obviously is a much bigger market. And I mean, it's big on both sides of the equation, supply and demand. We've had students in the major megacities and metropolitan areas in New York, Boston, LA, San Francisco. So in the US, we have had students, they got really great opportunities. Some of the opportunities are not by the name and data analyst. They actually use the term engineer. I've heard this multiple times, BIE, business intelligence engineer. I mean, nowadays, if you have the engineer name in the title, I think most likely you will make more money. So I think that is a good news, because business intelligence engineer, in terms of the scope of the work, it's more or less the same as DA, as BI. But you heard the different title: analyst, consultants, developer, engineer. And developer and engineer are more on the technical side. So that means the business intelligence solution, including the reports and dashboards, they become a service, right? So it's something you publish, you push to the business team on a weekly or monthly basis. And they have come to expect the reports delivered to their desktop, at certain time, certain intervals. So if that is the case, you will go through the same project cycle, all the way from requirements to design, to development, to production, and you will have to maintain it. So that is indeed a job, only an engineer will be able to handle, right? So in that case, I think this is a great news. And you can target the BIE, the business intelligence engineer opportunities. So in that case, when you compose your search criteria, you should include that. Okay, so back to OpenAI. How do we do it? So ask for structured output. So you want the output in certain format. And okay, a few shot, I think we did this prompting. You provide examples of a good, completion. So then the model will learn, will give you the completion just like that. Okay, so this is very typical. Just import the libraries and packages. OS, because this is where you store your API key. And OpenAI, so then you can use the large language model, in this case, GPT. So we use GPT 3.5. You can use 4, depending on the plan you subscribe to. So in this case, we have two rows. Actually, only user. You could have a system and user. And then you can return the response, and you pick the first one. And then you extract the content from the message. So this is very, very typical. So after this, you can put the entire job description, within, this, and you separate them with triple quote. And then go down, you can summarize the job description. So this is prompt engineering. You will need to be very specific. So you can say, summarize the job description, delimited by triple backticks. So this is triple backticks. So between the triple backticks. So there's no mistake about that. And then you can format the summary into an ordered list of 10 sentences or less. So you specify the format of the completion. So then this is the completion. So if you use this, if you don't have time to read the entire job posting, you can read the summary. And chances are this will also give you the important keywords that you can look to include in your resume. And you can change this. You can mention keywords and key phrases. And then this will be slightly different. So then you want to write blurbs to showcase your needs and qualifications. So in order to show employers that you're a good fit, so you want to talk about their needs, you want to talk about your qualifications side by side. So when people look at it, and this is a good match and it's a good fit, your needs and my qualifications, I have exact what you are looking for, right? I have everything you look for. Okay, so you put this within the blurbs. So for instance, this is for one particular candidate that I mentor. So I was his mentor. So I come from an industrial engineering background. I interned at ABB. I'm familiar with oil and gas, utility, telecom, railway. I understand industrial property assessment. I have done project with financial modeling and evaluation. I understand PP&E. So those of you from an accounting background, you probably understand this. PP&E is property, plant, and equipment. So all of these, have something to do with the requirements. Construction cost improvement, inflation, depreciation methods, three depreciation methods, straight line, accelerated units of production. I understand valuation process and methods, different approach, comparison approach, income approach, within the bracket, specifically value equal to income and divided by capitalization or cap rate. So this is quite a bit of domain knowledge, and it's not hard for you to get this information if you have a mentor from the industry. And so three approach: comparison approach, income approach, and cost approach. This is based on replacement cost. And I studied calculation formula in MGA, Municipal Government Act and Guidelines, Alberta Linear Property Assessment Minister's Guidelines. So this was taken from the requirements. I understand cost approach. You can explain this as total value of property equal to market value of land plus cost of improvement minus improvement depreciation. And tax rate. And tax rate, how much tax revenue you want to collect and divided by the assessment base. So this is basically valuation, and then you can use that to define the tax rate and how much tax rate you want to impose on the industry. And in this case, it's not residential property, it's industrial property. Okay, so this is the most exciting part of it. So generate a mock interview. So in this case, you could ask ChatGPT to design a mock job interview based on 7 most common questions. I think most of you have seen these 7 questions. Why do you think you're qualified for this role? What do you know about industrial property assessment, taxation, and this role? What experience do you have in detecting and resolve data quality issues? You don't have direct experience working with Oracle SAS and JS. How will you catch up? Most of the time, if we don't have everything that's being asked in the job description, you should prepare something like this, right? And then it's the strengths, accomplishments, successes. So these are the positives and these are the negatives. Weaknesses, mistakes, and failures. You have to prepare for 2 questions like these. And the last one, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? What question do you have for me? What do you think? These 7 questions are very, very typical. Okay. All right. So this is the instruction to ChatGPT. Create answers incorporating the blurbs, and what? Delimited by triple backticks. And format the mock interview as a transcript of question and answers. So this is a question asked by the interviewer, and this is the answer from you as the candidate. Question, answer, like that. Okay. So this is generated by ChatGPT. It's amazing, isn't it? Let's just go through maybe 2 of them. So interviewers, well, why do you think you're qualified for this role? Oh, I believe I'm qualified for this role because of my background in industrial engineering. I have interned at ABB where I gained experience in various industries such as oil and gas, utility, telecom, and railway. And this has given me a good understanding of industrial property assessment and taxation. Yeah, it's short and punchy. Okay. Interviewer, what do you know about industrial property assessment, taxation, and this role? So I only have these, blurbs, but now I have a full story. I have worked on project involving financial modeling and valuation, which has given me a solid understanding of industrial property assessment and taxation. I'm familiar with concepts such as PP&E, property, plant, and equipment, construction costs, improvements, inflation, and depreciation methods like straight line, accelerating units of production. I'm also well-versed in the valuation process and methods, including the comparison approach, income approach, and cost approach. So you just mentioned some of the facts spot on, just to demonstrate that you have done your research, you know the domain knowledge to some extent, and this is pretty smooth, right? Okay, question, will we get a copy of these types of prompts for job search? So you can send me an email. I can send you back what you asked for. Let me type my email address. Okay. All right. So let's look at the next question. You don't have direct experience working with Oracle, SAS, and JS. How will you catch up? This is, let's see how ChatGPT handled this. Well, I may not have direct experience working with Oracle, SAS, and JS. I'm confident in my ability to quickly learn and adapt to new technology. I have a strong foundation in data analysis and manipulation, which will serve as a solid base for learning these tools. Additionally, I am a fast learner, blah, 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 quickly acquiring new skills. And I'm willing to invest. Okay, so not that great, but it gives you something to work with. Okay, can you tell me about your strengths, accomplishments, and success? Okay, one of my strengths is my analytical mindset. I have a natural ability to break down complex problems and find practical solutions. I like this. I have successfully completed projects that involve financial modeling and valuation, demonstrating my ability to handle complex data and deliver accurate results. Additionally, I'm a strong communicator and have effectively collaborated with cross-functional teams to achieve project goals. Overall, okay, what do you think? Mediocre. Um, Once again, ChatGPT is your friend, is your assistant. You can work with ChatGPT to improve your transcript. Interviewer, can you share any workplace mistakes or failures you have experienced? A lot of candidates, our students and mentees have issues with this. Let's look at what ChatGPT suggests. One weakness I have identified is my tendency to be overly detail-oriented. Well, attention to detail is important. I sometimes find myself spending too much time on minor aspects of the project, which can impact overall efficiency. However, I've been actively working on improving. I think this kind of structure is good, right? So you mentioned something that sounds like a true weakness, but not so bad to jeopardize your opportunity. And plus, you have been actively working on it, right? Improving this by setting clear priorities and deadlines, right? I believe that acknowledging and addressing weaknesses is crucial for personal and professional growth. Okay, the last one. Where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? What question do you have for me? In 5 to 10 years, I see myself in a leadership role within, okay, I aspire to become a subject matter, I like this, and contribute to the development of innovative approach in this field. As for my question, I would like to know more about the companies now. This is not that great. You should come up with a better question. Okay. Yes, this is a notebook. Once again, if you send me an email, I will send you the notebook. Okay. All right. So what do you think? ChatGPT, is it useful? I think it's useful, but it's more useful if you feed ChatGPT the right blurbs. I think this is really, really important. You need to do enough research, and you need to network with industry experts, and ideally people working in this industry and even in this company. People are just 2 or 3 degrees away from each other. So if you go on LinkedIn, I'm pretty sure, you can find somebody who knows somebody who work at the company or even in the same team. Okay. So in that case, you can get some insider information. And if you put that information into the blurb, and ChatGPT is going to return a better transcript. And once again, you don't use this transcript blindly, but you use it as something as a draft, and then you definitely need to put in your own personal feelings and personalities to make it sound like yourself, right? Okay, any question about this part? Yes? No? Okay. If no question, let me just come back to this part. So WeCloudData, let me just give you a bit more. Let's go to the website of WeCloudData.com. Thank you, Adam, for typing some of the resources. So today is about I am the director in charge of business intelligence program. So if you go to WeCloudData.com, learning paths, and business intelligence, and you will get the full details, including salary, including the use cases, and the most common tool. And you can download the career guide. I authored the career guide, and that will help you to decide if this career path is for you. Otherwise, you could always go on different paths: data science, data engineering, machine learning engineering, and DevOps, right? And with that, I want to show you, okay, so these are the typical writing blocks I would recommend that DA and BI analysts should include on your resume. This is more than you need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11. So you can do a screenshot if you want. Okay, so I'm going to go through this a little bit just to show you the skill set that employers expect you to have. Advanced Excel, so Excel is still very, very popular, but just don't put the basic features. You want to put something, when people look at it, they will believe, this guy is indeed an advanced user of Excel. So you can put XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is better than VLOOKUP or HLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is actually better than, what is the other one people use? Index match. Yeah, index match. So XLOOKUP is better than VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, index match. So put XLOOKUP. Some ifs, Power Query, Power Pivot, Power Table, Slicer, and Timelines. If you haven't even heard of, slicers and, Power Pivot, and then you should do some research about it, right? If you come from a math statistics background, you should mention this, even though you're not applying for data scientist jobs. You should also mention that because that's your personality, right? So you can put hypothesis testing, A/B testing, clustering, classification, regression. So these are just the essential statistical methodologies. What about programming? So as a data professional, you do code, right? But it's very different from application programming. This is data programming. So we use programming to collect, process data. It's very, very different. And I would say usually you probably spend like 40% or even less time programming. Um, you you spend a fair amount of time doing visualization. You also spend a lot of time talking to business teams. You spend quite some time talking to the technical team to make sure, you get the data you look for and the data are in good order. So programming, two major programming tools, SQL and Python. And I put SQL before Python because for DA and BI career paths, uh, SQL takes higher priority because you spend most of your time working with internal structured data. And SQL or SQL database is what most companies use to organize the internal data. So SQL is both a database and a programming language to communicate with that database. That's the reason why people sometimes say, oh, why do you have SQL here and here? Oh, that's because SQL is both a database system and a programming language to communicate with that database system. All right. So you need to mention programming SQL and Python. And once again, I always encourage you to be a little more specific. So put within quote, complex join, elastic queries, window function. So that way people will treat you as a senior, a power user, an advanced, coder. You have to do that. Nowadays, the second year university students, they put every tool they have heard of on their resume. And if you are doing the same thing, how can you stand out? So you just have to do something extra. And this is a good way for you to, show people that you're at an advanced level of programming. Database systems, you should put the database systems that you have worked with, the most popular databases you can search. You can ask ChatGPT, what are the most popular database systems? And I bet you will see MySQL. You will see SQL Server. So this is from Oracle. This is from Microsoft. And you will see PostgreSQL, MongoDB, Redshift is AWS, and BigQuery is Google Cloud Platform, right? So these are just different database systems. Doesn't have to be so many, but it's definitely more than one or two, right? So that way you demonstrate that you have worked with different technology stack, because who knows? Some companies are Microsoft shoppers, some companies use AWS, some other companies use Google ecosystem. So in reality, if you understand one database system, the rest of them, they work more or less the same. But having some exposure to different database systems, is a good thing. And these are basically data structure. So you need to understand entity relationship diagram. These several things are talking about the same thing. ERD, relational database management system, star schema, so this is Microsoft, dimensional data modeling. They're essentially the same thing. Data governance is important. If you recall the several jobs we look at, I think we have seen data quality analyst. And this is your foundational skills, how to work with messy, hairy dirty data, right? So you can mention build data validation rules to detect and solve data quality issues. Once again, be specific. You should mention what kind of data issues: missing value, duplicate, outliers, anomalies, formatting errors, unstructured data, and how you handle, data quality issue. It's best to solve data quality issues at sources of creation and the moments of creation. Okay, I don't have to go through all of this. And this is also a good way to describe what you do. What do you do as a data analyst or reporting analyst? I turn questions into queries and data into insight. Visualize measures by dimensions. Now, when you have a data cube, you roll up and drill down the level of details. You slice and dice, sort and rank, and present the findings and recommend actions with real impact on business. So these several things, I think most people from the business team understand. They love this. Revenue growth, cost reduction, efficiency gain, quality improvement. If you're creating value for the business, you're doing one of these, right? I think if you put this on the resume, definitely it's a attention getter. Okay, finally, we come to data visualization and storytelling. Once again, Power BI and Tableau are two most popular visualization tools, and I would give Power BI a bit more weight over Tableau. And once again, you should mention the specifics. Don't just put Power BI. Everybody do that. Everybody does that. So you can put Power BI, ETL, data modeling, DAX, tabular editor, DAX Studio, custom visuals, interaction design. So that way you look like a more advanced user. Okay, do you have a similar skills list for DS? I think next week Adam is going to do an info session for data science. You can ask Adam for that, a skills list. It's a good thing that you have something like this as a reference. It's not that everybody's resume, the skills section will look like this. I'm pretty sure you have your own unique circumstances you want to highlight. For instance, if you pay attention, you should notice skills essentially include data, include business, and include communication. Right? You see data, business, right? Even here, you can put business analysis. It's a very important skill, making sure you work on the right problem. Clarify question, validate assumptions, and then development life cycle. So if you have worked on project, you're familiar with waterfall, agile, and even the life cycle from analysis to development to acceptance to production. And you should mention that. Okay. All right. From Seed, do you think based on layoff trends and job scarcity and automation of jobs, it makes better sense to become data science or data engineering instead of business intelligence data analyst? Very good question. Good question. So I'm going to be brutally honest with you. What we have observed, what we have seen since 2023, so from last year and the first 3 months of this year. In fact, the rise of AI, large language model, and automation of jobs have had some effect on both DA and DS, data analytics and data science. So the demand for data analysts and data scientists are in decline. I will explain why. with the large language model, it's like you and me, we have the opportunity to stand on the shoulders of the giant. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and you don't have to have a big, data science team with lots of data scientists doing model development. No. What we need to do, we still need data scientists. We need a handful, we need a few to leverage the large language model. And we want to augment the large language model with the enterprise's own data. And you can do fine tuning to make the model work for your business, in your own unique way. So in a nutshell, it becomes tougher for data scientist candidates to find jobs. It's also tougher for data analysts. As you said, AI is not taking the jobs, but AI is taking the tasks of many jobs. If you understand correct, every single job is made of probably tens, even hundreds of tasks. AI is not taking your job, but AI is taking quite some task of almost every job. So for that reason, we're adjusting at WeCloudData. We start teaching generative AI. We start teaching, Power Platform. We teach Power Automate. We teach you how to use Copilot to do more in less time. You mentioned data engineering. Yes, data engineer is actually having a very good year. Very good year 2023 and very good year 2024. We have no problem, signing new students or registering new students for data engineering bootcamp. And the demand for data engineers is going strong. So, see, to answer your question, if you come from engineering background, or maybe CS or software engineering background, I think data engineering might be a better career path. Data engineering essentially builds the infrastructure, the pipelines. Every company, needs better highway, right? Data engineers not only build the pipeline, and you're also responsible for the cost. So a good data engineer can take the technology to the next level, but at the same time achieve huge cost savings. So if you leverage the right technology, and if you tune the performance, if you optimize the use of resources and computing power, you're gonna save company money, but at the same time, enable the company to run on the highway. So it takes a leap of faith to be ambitious and register for a data engineering program. Otherwise, there another option. Have you heard of machine learning engineering? So once again, it's data science, but it's not development, but deployment and operations. So data scientists develop models, and machine learning engineer deploy and maintain the models. So once again, if you walk away remembering this, that's good. If you find the word engineer in the job title, I think that's a good sign for 2024 and beyond. Yeah. Okay. From essay, what part of DS role cannot be easily replaced by AI, and if any? Hmm. Once again, that's a good question. I think don't focus too much on the model or framework itself, but focus on the use cases and the context that you have successfully applied AI or deployed machine learning models to realize true benefits. I think in times like this, we all need to play the strategy game. Um, it's hard to fight with companies like OpenAI because they have the top talents. But each one of us, we position ourselves in a given industry, in a sector, and we have accumulated a number of years experience in that, right? So we need to become familiar with the use cases and the project and the context and where, when we apply AI, apply model, apply machine learning, and to realize true, real benefits. And if you do that, I think if you also have the experience deploying and supporting, AI solution, you can always you can still differentiate yourself, from the crowd. Okay, so if you think about the resume, it's essentially skills and experience. So we have talked about the skills. In terms of experience, I think each one of us, you want to position yourself in one or maybe two industries, but not everywhere, because it's hard to, use the one size fits all approach, and then you don't have the personality. Let's just go through a few use cases. Like this is e-commerce. This is energy. This is real estate. This is retail and e-commerce again. And this is IT, technology. And this is finance, financial planning and analysis. And this is HR, people analytics. What do you think? I think we try to avoid the situation. We don't want to be all over the place, but strategically, we also want to cover as many jobs as possible. So if you think about retail and e-commerce, traditional and digital, offline and online, but essentially they're in the same business. Retail slash e-commerce, you can treat them as one. How about supply chain? There would be no e-commerce without supply chain. You still need to, get the merchandise ordered, manufactured, and shipped, delivered to the customer. So retail, e-commerce, supply chain. Let's also add marketing. How about digital marketing? We use social media, we use SEO, SEM to create traffic and to drive traffic to our website. We also analyze the health and performance of our marketing website. So that's all online. That's digital marketing. What about traditional CRM marketing campaigns? So we still use direct mail, we use pending marketing, we use email. So email can be digital, right? So how many do we have? Retail, e-commerce, supply chain, CRM, digital marketing. I think these several are closely related. So if you can have one project for each, put them on a resume, I think overall you'll look really, really strong and also very, very relevant. And some of you may ask, how about banking? How about financial services? You know what? A bank also has the retail and commercial business. And in fact, if you work in the retail, it's an industry with a lot more competition. I think every one of us has seen enough, closures of retail business. So the competition is cutthroat, and that's why you see the best technology, being adopted in retail first. So if you have had that experience, the banks and insurance companies, they actually want to hire people from retail because the banks are actually behind. The banks are slow. They want to hire somebody like you who have worked on digital marketing in retail space. So you come in and you can help with retail banking to take the online banking to the next level. Or you could also use online banking to sell mortgages, to sell credit card, and to complete mortgage renewal, to retain, our best customers. So if you think about it, the business is actually simpler in banking. The only product you have is money, and the money is just data, right? Is information. So it's supposed to be simpler. And if you have had that experience, you should apply for jobs in banking industry as well, and you do have advantage. You have something they look for. So from Anina, have you seen a lot of data scientists going into commercial real estate firms in Toronto? Interesting. Anina, to answer your question, I have personally sent quite a number of DABI, data analysts into real estate firms. You know what? Let's just take a look at the real estate. Which one? This one. You see, this is Canadian Real Estate Investment Trust. I didn't mention the real name, but it's a REIT, R-E-I-T. So it's Real Estate Investment Trust. So you could have a private REIT, and you could have a public REIT. There are REITs, listed on stock exchange. So if you look at the kind of use cases and project, the data process remains largely the same. Automated data reporting process, right? This looks familiar. Eliminated manual steps, significantly improved operational efficiency. Okay, created dynamic interactive dashboard to visualize. So this is real estate. I think if you come from that industry, you would understand. Sites, what's site? This is building, right? You could put buildings. So within a building, you have maybe hundreds of units, apartment units. So this is apartment buildings. So it's sites, units, and rent. So this is what? This is dimension. This could be measured, number of sites, number of units too, right? And rent is KPI. Rent increase is KPI. And if you divide total rent by total number of units, so this is how much you can, this is pricing, this is price, right? And the rent increase by unit, divided by unit, the rent increase per unit by province. And we know that in Ontario, in BC, we have rent control, like 2%, or probably less than 2%. By contract type, there are two types of contract, turnover and renewal. For renewal, you cannot increase the rent too much. You can only increase less than 2%. But turnover means the old tenant, the contract expired, the tenant move out, a new tenant move in, and then you can set the price. So you can set any price. You can charge whatever, rent. Unit type. So you could have apartments, you could have houses, you could have condos, you could have townhouses. Identify opportunities for revenue maximization. So this is important. Build pro forma financial statements based on revenue drivers, average rent increase on turnovers versus renewal. Recommended strategy to mitigate risk. For renewals, rent increase capped at 2.5 and 2 in Ontario and British Columbia below the rate of inflation. So that's a risk. But for turnovers, you can lose some rent during the days vacant for renovation, listing, and showing. I think this is totally real estate language, right? But you're applying the data analytics skills in this context. So to answer your question, is there any data science use cases in commercial real estate? Maybe, we data science or machine learning or modeling is all about making predictions, what will happen in the future. And BI, so AI is to predict what will happen in the future. And BI is to explain what has already happened in the past. So BI is hindsight and AI is foresight. BI and AI are like twins. There is no AI without good BI, right? So to answer your question, Anina, I think a lot of times you will answer the first two questions, what happened and why. And then before you answer the third question, what can we do about it? What might happen in the future? How can we make it happen? You know what I mean? So probably if you're a DA/DS hybrid kind of talent, you will have your market. From seed, does DevOps require less programming, and is it easier to transition from DA? DevOps. See, DevOps are development and operations combined. Okay, so probably, I think you will need to understand the infrastructure, the release train, the versioning and version control, continuous testing, continuous integration. DevOps has its own unique set of skills. There is still some programming, but not as extensive as data engineering, but some. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's easier, but DevOps is a very unique career path. I think it's a very good career path. But it does require some technical skills. It's more technical than DA. It's more technical than DA. From SA, how to talk about the results, impacts of a personal project. Interesting. So the results and impacts. Let's talk about results first. So let's talk about insights. The insights are two parts, right? Insights, remember the three questions? The first question is what happened? The second question is why? The third question is so what? So what can we do about it? So I want you to remember the three questions. What happened? Why? And what can we do about it, right? So the insights includes both findings and recommendations. Findings are basically trends, patterns, relationships. Yeah. So findings are the results. And then recommendations. So recommendation goes like, if you do this, this will be the result. It's not actual real results. You haven't seen the impact of your personal project as yet, but you can still estimate the impact using expected outcomes. Meaning, if you implement this strategy I recommend, you are going to have like 25% increase in revenue. Or maybe you can cut back on the costs, 50%, or maybe the process after, we automate it is going to increase the productivity by this much, or the quality will improve and stay high, something like that, right? So I want you to divide it up between findings and recommendations. So the findings are the first two questions, and the recommendations are the third question. Okay, Anina, it's a direct message. Thank you. It's very helpful, Eric. I'm looking to position myself as a domain specialist with machine learning data education. Where could I find information on which REIT have been hiring data scientists and are in the process of building up machine learning capability? Interesting. So maybe you have your special interest in real estate. Real estate is indeed a big industry. So I have placed one student with Riocan, RIOCAN. Just search for it. It's a big, it's a big REIT, real estate investment trust. It is doing multiple projects to convert the shopping mall into mixed use residential and commercial plaza. So usually you will see the new buildings with the towers being occupied by big retailers, and then you have maybe 40 or 50 floors of residential tenants, and that naturally give you the client base for the retail business. And the other company I can think of is CAPREIT. CAPREIT is Canadian Real Estate Investment Trust, and it's specialized in student housing, and they are also hiring data professionals. Layoff proof. See, I think I completely understand your feelings. So we are all looking for future proof. I think if you look at the trend, digital marketing is big. Digital marketing is big because the other spaces, people are always complaining we don't have enough data. And digital marketing is the only space that we have too much data. I mean, every click by the customer is data, right? So you have lots of information about the customer, about their footprint, but it's quite a challenge to understand the customer's preference and behavior, because the same customer can switch between devices. So I can use my phone to check up WeCloudData and what they offer. And then when I on the way to my office, I use my phone. After I get to the office, I use my desktop. And then maybe I use tablet, right? And first I go to, I don't know, YouTube. I watch a video posted by WeCloudData. And then there's a backlink I click. It takes me to the website. And then I also go to social media like Twitter to understand to maybe get the ratings or reviews, from customers. You see, I'm jumping from site to site, from device to device. So you have to integrate all this data and then try to understand the customer if I am the right person to target, and then find a way to attract me to your website and then make me stay longer, right? Making sure I have a good experience. And then until the last moment, I give you a call to inquire about the courses. Or maybe I'm so convinced I will just, wipe out my credit card and then purchase a course. So digital space, I think, is sort of future-proof. The other way that you can, I think data and software are two subjects so hot. I think they're the centerpieces of digital transformation, and there's no escape. Doesn't matter what background you come from, you will need to learn either data or software. But you don't have to be the expert. So for instance, some people, they're great at, communicating with people. So you can become a product manager, you can become a business analyst. So you can be the go-to person, connecting the dots, closing the gaps between business team and IT team. But you will need to know enough to earn the respect from both business team and technical team. So that's the reason why I believe learning data is always a good thing. And then you can combine the data skill with your domain knowledge or with your soft skills, and you become more powerful. I think to really become layoff proof, we want to strategically combine, maybe one thing, another thing, to make ourselves extremely relevant and rare. So it's hard to replicate. And then it becomes very, very hard to replace.